Okay, so I went ahead and took the liberty of hooking up activity 10. Got everything all hooked up, so forth. Got my hydraulic motor hooked up. Got the cylinders hooked up, C1, got that hooked up. Also got C2 hooked up. Got my motor torque hooked up. We got our direct acting pressure relief valve. Then we got our flow meter. And right now we don't have any flow, even though the circuit is turned on, even though I got stuff turned on here, but we don't have any flow. So I'm gonna ask the question, why is that we don't have any flow? You guys should be able to figure that out. I also got our pump supply coming from our pressure compensated pump. And we know that we got three different kinds of pumps here. We got fixed displacement, pressure compensated, and our load sensing pump. So another thing is that we'll pay real close attention to the directional control valves that you guys connect all of your hoses up to, all your connections. Make sure everything there is correct. So what I'm going to do now is show you guys what you need to do. Here is our pressure compensator, and this is also how we set it. Now this right here is this adjustment is different than the adjustment on let me open this up if I can with one hand. I'm gonna set this down and then I'm gonna open this up. Okay, so if you notice on this particular trainer versus the trainer that's closer to the overhead door, that we have a lock nut here on our compensator. So what we're going to have to do is to take our wrench and loosen up that lock nut. Loosen that lock nut up, you know, so you can make your necessary adjustments. So for your compensator. Here is our adjustment on our trainers for changing our GPM. We talked about that adjustment here. I will tell you guys what it is called, but I'm gonna let you guys kind of figure out what this is called. But one thing I will tell you, that by adjusting the set screw, after you take and loosen up this lock nut, by adjusting the set screw either in or out, you change the angle on the swash plate inside of the pump. And we know by changing the angle of the swash plate that we end up also changing our gallons per minute, our GPM, changing our flow. So I'm gonna go back over to this other trainer here. And I'm gonna show you guys how to set up the pressure compensator. So the first thing that we want to do is to make sure that the pressure compensator is turned in all the way. Make sure that it's turned in all the way. And again, all this is the direct acting pressure relief valve. So make sure that it's turned in all the way. Don't crank on it real hard. You know, just make sure that, you know, that once we turn it, that once it you feel that resistance, just quit. So from there, what we want to do is to go ahead and set our pressure relief valve to 1,000 psi. Set our pressure relief valve to 1,000 psi, and we want to set our pressure, let me see here, set our pressure compensator to 800 psi. Direct acting pressure relief valve 1,000, set our compensator to 800. So the way we do that is that we go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and deadhead the cylinder. I'm going to use cylinder C2. So I'm going to go ahead and deadhead that cylinder. I hope I got the right directional control valve. Oop. Yep, that's it. Oop. Got the cylinder deadheaded. I really don't have to deadhead it, but I was just checking just to show you guys what will happen when I do deadhead it. Nothing changes there. So what I'm going to do is to start adjusting and getting my 1000 psi for my pressure relief valve, my direct acting pressure relief valve. So I'm going to start adjusting that. And remember that we want to set it to 1000 psi. psi. So we're at 900. Let's go to 1000. Okay. Now I got the pressure relief valve set at 1000 psi. So the next thing that I want to do is to set my pressure compensator down to 800 psi, because that's what the print calls for, 800 psi. I got to set that down to 800 psi. How do I do that? Very simple. I want to keep my eye on the pressure gauge here that is on the direct acting pressure relief valve that we're adjusting, and don't mess with the pressure relief valve. Once you got that set at 1000, leave it there. Don't fuss with it anymore. As a matter of fact, I could just tweak it just a little more. Just a little more. There we go. That's 1000. Now what I'm going to do is go over to the compensator, and I'm going to take and adjust my compensator by looking at the pressure gauge on the direct acting pressure relief valve. Now I'm going to adjust that to 800 psi. So I'm going to again adjust my compensator here. And then watch here to get 800 psi. So I'm going to adjust this thing counterclockwise. So as you are observing that now my pressure is going down. Now we got to set at 800 psi. Now remember, this is set at 1000 psi. Now our pressure compensator is set at 800 psi. And guess what? You're ready to roll. You're ready to go ahead and to start answering your questions and so forth in your workbook. And kind of go from there. That's the